Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you could take time out of your day to join me on my channel. So I've got a couple things I'm going to be looking at today based on requests that I've received and also based on some remote viewings. And if you haven't had a chance yet to do so, be sure and share, like, subscribe, and click the bell notification so that you can be notified about all future videos that I produce here at the Oracle of Whimsy. So by far, absolutely one of the most common requests I get as a remote viewer has to do with Harry and Meghan and the royal family. And I don't usually look at the royal family except as it pertains to, political issues, etc. But I did do a deep meditation, a remote viewing on the royal family from the perspective of Harry. And so I'd like to talk about that today. So I'm going to be looking at the I'm going to be remote viewing from the perspective of Harry, his relationship with his father, Charles, the Queen. And I also looked briefly at Kate and Meghan and their relationship. And so I'm going to just go ahead and give you the information now, but I want to preface it by saying that the information or the feeling that I had when I went into the remote will probably be will contradict some of the public persona that people have of these individuals. So I just want to say that. So I went into the relationship between Harry, other people, his brother, William. I want to mention that as well. So I'll show you the map and then I'll go through it. This is the remote viewing map of the royal family last night. So I'm just going to go ahead and deliver it. The first person that I had remote viewed last week, and I had just kind of put it on the back burner, and I really hadn't spent a lot of time with it, was actually Kate Middleton. She was one of the first people that I actually connected with last week. There's an increasing feeling when I go into the energy of this individual that they may feel shut away or isolated. There's a grief or an emotion or feeling around this person, Kate Middleton, that they feel that they have been put aside, or they could feel that they've been put on a shelf. An increasing feeling that they're not part of the greater conversation, or that they're not being included. There's a feeling of isolation in this individual. So that was the first thing I felt when I went into the energy of Kate Middleton, is that I've been shut away, I've been put away, it's like somebody discards their wife or husband and then ignores them, and then they come out occasionally and they do their work, their public persona, but this individual does not. This is a lonely person. It feels like a lonely person. So that's the first thing I felt when I went into Kate Middleton's energy. In terms of Kate Middleton's relationship with Meghan, it was kind of interesting, the thoughts that I felt as Kate Middleton. And this is what I heard her say. Is this really what you want the historians to say about us? So there's this awareness by this individual that she's an historical figure, that Meghan is an historical figure, that they will be remembered throughout history. And she's very aware that she has a responsibility and the power to some extent to determine what historians write about her. And so if she were going to say anything to Meghan, that would be what she would say, is that while we're still alive, we do have some control over what the historians say about us. And do you really want this to be what they say about us? Thinking about the greater picture. Kate Middleton is one of the most remarkable energies that I've ever come across. And she must spend a tremendous amount of time consciously aware of her position in the world, because this was somebody who was very level-headed, and there was something about her, an energy about her, that she was special. I really felt that this was somebody that was very, very special and remarkable and really is doing positive things with the position that she finds herself in. As I had said, in previous remotes, I had done a lot of meditations on Harry, putting myself in the position of what it was like to be Harry. One of the interesting things that started to come up as I go further and further into the remotes on Harry is this feeling of an increasing conflict between him and his father. As I'd mentioned in previous remotes, I had done a meditation where I found myself as I found the Queen making a phone call and speaking to Charles. If you go back and look at the previous remotes about this conflict, which got recorded, I think it was 2 years ago, something like that, right before Meghan had left. And in that remote, the Queen had called Charles. I think that the reason why that remote had come out was because of this increasing rift between Harry and Charles, and where Charles won't speak to Harry. Here's how it felt in the remote. It felt like a lot of the psychological problems that Harry has, he's blaming his father for. And the concern here is that this will become public dirt. That it will become public dirt, that Harry feels that his father is a cold, insensitive person who cannot take criticism. He appears in the remote from Harry's perspective like someone you don't correct. You don't correct him. He doesn't say he's wrong. You do what he says, and that's the end of the conversation. This is somebody who was born and raised knowing that he was going to be king. That's how it feels. That's not the public persona, but that's how it felt when I meditated as Harry, that he had a father that it would never enter his father's mind to say, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I'll fix it. What he says goes, and that's the end of the conversation. It feels like that. So when you go into the energy of Harry, he says, he treated my mother worse than he currently is treating me. And I can say with confidence that most of my problems come from him. The Queen also blames Charles. It's not just the press that's creating the problems. Charles is an oppressive person. So here's what I wrote based on the meditation. Harry is accusing his father of emotional cruelty and isolation, which is the same thing he did to my mother. That's what he's saying. In a sense, he forced her into exile, and he has forced me and my wife into exile and erased us, similar to how he erased my mother. He is someone that you don't say no to. You don't say no to him. No one stands up for him. No one stands up to Charles except my grandmother. So that was the remotes. So based on the remotes that I did, it looks like this is going to come out. This conflict and this increasing feeling that Harry has that his father is abusive, emotionally cruel, emotionally isolating in order to get you to obey or do what he says, that this type of emotional alienation and cruelty is something he does. It's his way of controlling people, and that now it's on full display for everyone to see, because he did the same thing to my mother and now he's doing it to me. And this is the fundamental issue here. The last remote I did was on William, and a feeling that from William's perspective, he couldn't come out publicly and call people out when they would say things or joke with him about Meghan, because he felt like he had to remain neutral. That was his argument. Trump was in the White House. There were a lot of conservatives and Tories that were actually supporting Donald Trump. So it put William in a really difficult situation. Also, the racist in Britain became more brazen under Trump. I think now in hindsight, when you sit in this energy, William feels that he's he was wrong, and it goes back to the meditation where Harry had said, you're now in a position where you can actually do some good and stand up for the values that we were raised with. And so I think there will be a statement or some kind of action on William's part. He doesn't want to piss his father off, but I do think William is going to come out and say something a little bit more direct about the racism issues. All right, so that's what I saw, and those were the remotes on the royal family. And I just wanted to give those because it's an interesting insight into a family dynamic, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays itself, plays itself out in the coming days. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the empath prayer. We're going to go in and we're going to do some blitzes. The first blitz I wanted to do was based on the future relationship of Putin and Biden, because Biden basically called Putin a killer, and Putin wished him good health in response, which, it's not exactly a nice. It almost sounds like he threatened him. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. We're going to go in. Let's take a look at the future relationship between, Biden and Putin. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, for the planet, for the people we love, but also to help those we have strife with. And together we say, Amen. Let's go in, and we're going to look at the future relationship between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden. The situation is about to change for the better. You can see the karma card, which is the second card under the base card, is the karma. The karma is going to play itself out. It's kind of interesting when you look at the karma between these two nations, between these two men, the card chosen is karma. So the karma has to be played out, but we see a celebration or a rejoicing that something good is going to come from all of this. It's kind of interesting to go into this energy because every time I go into it, I feel this intense animosity on the part of Putin towards the United States and towards Biden and his policies, which he truly believes financially harmed Russia. So where they're at right now, they're arguing about sanctions, money, exchange. I know that he was talking a lot in the past remotes Putin had about trade routes and about opening up trade to countries in Europe like oil to Germany through the pipeline, etc. So there's a real desire here that Putin doesn't want that to be disrupted, but they're fighting in Senate, they're fighting in the Congress about sanctions or blocking this type of trade, going back to the money. Let's go further in and take a look. Crossing card, victory within 6 months. So whatever the conflict was that led to this issue regarding the karma, it plays itself out. We're in a good position in about 6 months. You can see rejoicing here and also a victory card. It's interesting that you have people like Sheila, who's a remote viewer from Celtic Tarot, going in, and how close we were to losing this battle with this foreign government. This was very serious what happened. And to see victory cards for us is something that is really good to see considering what we've been through. What is above? Stress, a lot of stress. I feel that I think that Putin lost, and I think that Putin knows he lost, and I think there are going to be consequences for what he did. I don't think he wants to negotiate normally or have any kind of a normal relationship with the United States based on these cards. And again, here, the truth is coming out. Look at the stress coming in for Putin. and in response to the truth. So we caught everything. Is a feeling like strong leadership is coming in. The truth is coming in. The truth is coming out. The relationship is transformed. The hope and the fear, gaslighting, right? Confusion, placing ourselves in a situation we can't get out of. I would predict based on these cards that we're going to be very hard on Russia. And it boils down to money. And it also boils down to issues regarding sanctions. He did this to himself. The only way he's going to be able to open up a new relationship with the United States is by complying. Also, he has to be open audited. He has to be more open to being audited by the international community. And also, he's going to be having to pay money for what he did, not just in the US, but abroad as well. They're really going to hit him hard financially. That's my prediction. Wow. So bad news for Putin, good news for the United States. This brings me to the issue of Christopher Wray and the FBI. People have asked whether or not Christopher Wray will be able to complete his term. I've never felt that. I've always felt like Christopher Wray was weak in a way, and he really couldn't stand up to President Trump. Now it's come out that the investigation that the FBI was supposed to conduct on Kavanaugh didn't actually happen because of pressure from the White House. That goes back to the idea that Christopher Wray was not impartial with the FBI and could be manipulated by President Trump. So I just want to go in now and take a look at, first off, the future of Christopher Wray, and then we're going to look at the future of Kavanaugh. There is some consequences for the actual FBI agents. It looks like there was a tacit understanding that certain people who were working for the FBI could basically walk off the job. They walked off the job. They didn't complete the assignment. There's a 5 of Swords here, which could indicate shoddy work performance or not being willing to follow through, walking off the job, giving up the battle. The Star is here, which is to receive an anointing or a blessing over some information regarding walking away or not putting an effort in. So if FBI agents that were assigned to this task did not complete the task and were allowed to simply walk off the job, then that would fall on Christopher Wray. Something coming up in April. You can see the April card coming in. More information. It does not bode well. It's a slow, methodical investigation, and I just don't see stability for Christopher Wray as a result. Yeah. Instead, he's going to possibly be replaced by somebody else. And it looks like the person that's going to replace him may be a man, not a woman. You can see here there's a tower moving in. Take a look at these cards. Not good for Christopher Wray at all. You can see the justice, the courts. This is a police card. This has to do with policing. Coming into the 4th house, and a movement card here. I feel like if this is his card, the head of the FBI, which would be the head of the police, the fact that there's a movement card moving in, the fact that it's slow, steady stopgap right around the time of April leads me to think that somebody is putting the pressure on Wray, trying to do his work, but there's a 10 of Cups in the 8th house, leading me to suspect he's having a relationship or relationships that may not be completely kosher. The hope and the fear, who has he been serenading? Who is his loyalties with? Final outcome, not good. Hopes and fears is the Tower, and then the final outcome, the King of Wands, which would suggest that there's going to be some kind of a tension, possibly a fight, that this is going to escalate right around April, springtime, and it could result in him leaving and being replaced by somebody else. I'm going to go ahead and predict that the new FBI person is going to be a fire sign male. I'll go ahead and clarify this. Yeah, he's in trouble. Justice, heartbreak, dual loyalties. You know, it's like showing other relationships. Three of Swords, hopes and fears, gaining control of it. It's bad. Yeah, the world is over another man. So yeah, I don't see Christopher Wray continuing his service. Like I had said originally, something comes up 4 or 5 months into the Biden presidency, and it looks like that something may be failure by the FBI to complete the Kavanaugh investigation. So now I just want to go ahead and take a look at the future of Kavanaugh. Will he be able to remain, or will he be physically removed from the Supreme Court? Future of Kavanaugh. Not good. I'm not getting a good feeling about this. Kavanaugh. Ooh. Not cooperating. Issues coming up from the past. Old loves, old relationships. Look at this. His karma card. Hear no evil, see no evil. Blocking information coming out. Let's take a look. The dreamy queen who rubs her lamp. What crosses it? Kavanaugh has placed himself in a situation. He has placed himself in this situation. There he is as the judge. There's also issues of money that's under investigation with him, hidden money, and there's the FBI. The FBI will be investigating Kavanaugh now. You can see my FBI card, the hidden queen, moving in, something about also possible financial dealings. Where he's at right now, Ten of Swords, devastated. There's something coming out about him. Some man is involved in investigating him, a King of Cups. The hope and the fear for him, poverty, exile, being kicked out, the final outcome for him, the juggler, the con artist, rocky waters ahead, trying to get in a position of power. There's Ray leaving, grief and problems, and a new FBI director. So it's going to be hard to get him out. He would have to be removed by Congress. But he's in some serious trouble, and it has to do with this issue, with this not being properly vetted, not properly investigated. What's weird is that his situation becomes unstable right around the time that more information comes out about Christopher Wray, around April, May of 2021. We can start looking for something to come out about that. Okay, so I think that about wraps it up. I think that's everything that I was going to do, right? I just want to do one really a quick close now on the economy to just see if now that the stimulus check is coming in, what we can expect in terms of changes in the economy for spring, and then we'll close it. The economy keeps flipping. I keep feeling like there's environmental changes that happen, but I also feel like the economy is changing a lot. You can see here 8 of Cups moving in. It keeps coming up that we get these cars that denote walking away from things we've already built, changes in the infrastructure, a new family dynamic. It's interesting, we have an inheritance here card coming in. The work begins, 10 of Wands. I really feel like a lot of the work that's going to be coming in has to do with the transportation and the infrastructure. So many jobs coming in because the feds are also giving money to the states. the states and the cities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's all these types of work in industry that are starting to happen. You can see here 10 of Wands carrying the load, the Emperor, position of power can be like a judge, a father. In this case, I'm assuming it's the Biden policies, and a new beginning comes to us in spring. Take a look at the cards for the economy. You can see it's almost like we really saved ourselves, but this is rough. This is rough, having to go to it from an old economy into this new family or this new dynamic. And then we have the new beginning here, the working the load, the new father or the new leader, what we sit in, our wishes fulfilled, what we're coming out of, receiving mercy, right? The Six of Pentacles is a philanthropy card. It's probably people receiving checks, people receiving aid. The new future, a new man in charge, new leadership comes to us also with the economy. It could be that we're seeing changes in who runs the Fed, who runs the finances, possible real changes in terms of financial oversight. Yeah, scholarship coming in for the finances. I'm feeling like there's new academics or a new energy coming in that's going to be really examining what the economic policies were of the previous administration. Expect frugality to be ahead with a final outcome of the Four of Pentacles. But I can tell you with the Ten of Pentacles as the final outcome, if we work together as a community, we're going to come through this in a really positive way. But it is an exciting time over the next 9 to 10 years as we do move towards the new economy and the new greening of America, as they say. All right, I want to thank everybody for watching this video of remote viewing and tarot card blitzes. Be sure and share, like, subscribe, and click the bell notification. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.